Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heart Center Tarot. As always, my name is Marina, and I will be your guide for this portion of the journey. So, I am recording this on Sunday, April the 23rd, and news is out. Canadians are going to the polls on April 28th. That's when we are going to be electing new members of Parliament and new Prime Minister. Now, our system is a little different than the US, where you get to vote for your representative and who you want as president and so on. Ours is a little different in that there are 338 ridings or districts, as you might know them, across Canada. And the majority of them, I think there's 336 that are up for, that will be up for election. And the party that wins the most members of Parliament is going to determine who the Prime Minister is. So if most of the ridings elect, let's say, Liberal candidates, then the Liberal Party will announce its leader, which in this case is Mark Carney, and Mark Carney will then become the Prime Minister. Same thing goes if more Conservatives are elected. Then the Conservatives will elect a leader, and in this case, that is Pierre Poilievre. Now, everyone is going to have their favorite, and everyone is going to have the candidate that they want to succeed. So you may have, let's say, a member of Parliament that is elected in your riding, but they may not represent the party that you want to be in power. So you always kind of have to, consider that, well, yes, so-and-so is doing a really good job. However, they represent the party that I don't know, I want to give them an additional seat in the House of Commons. So there is, that kind of thing to keep in mind. The difference between a majority government and a minority government is that if the let's say the Liberals with 336 seats available, if they were to win 170 or more of those seats, then that would be considered a majority government, which means that the majority of representatives are from the Liberal Party and they can get things done. Same thing on the other side for the Conservatives. If, however, the party that is going to be naming the Prime Minister, if they get less than 170 seats, then we have what is called a minority government, which means, yes, the majority of the people wanted you in power. However, you now have to work in tandem with some of the other parties, depending on how many seats they picked up. So, as an example, if let's say the Liberals pick up 150 seats, and the Green Party picks up 15 seats, and the NDP pick up 25 seats. Then the Liberal government would have to work with the NDP with the 150 and the 75 to get over that majority threshold. And the minority government is then sort of tied in to, they have to work very closely with the other parties, and the other parties have to agree to what it is that they're doing in order to get things passed. So the last few election cycles, the Liberals have had a minority government, which means that they had to work with another party. In the case of Trudeau, that was having to work with the NDP, whose leader is Jagmeet Singh. So there's, as with anything, it's a good news, bad news kind of thing. If the Liberals win with a majority government, then they don't have to rely on the support of the other parties in order to get their mandates approved and so on. They have enough seats, enough votes to do that on their own. That's kind of the good news. The bad news is, if there is a minority government and they do have to work with some of the other parties, you may not be able to get all your legislation through. Where that comes in terms of who's running for prime minister, for lack of a better description, in the case of the Conservatives, if they were to win a good portion of the seats, but they only hold a minority government, then that means they would have to work with either the Liberals or they would have to work with the NDP, the Green Party, the Bloc Québécois, and so on in order to get legislation through. So in that case, Pierre Poilievre, as the leader of the Conservative Party, would be very similar to a sitting duck president, in that he couldn't just pass through things that he wanted to. He would have to have the agreement from whichever party that he chose to align himself with, other than the Conservatives. Ooh, okay, clear as mud. All right. So, I think for most Canadians, the best case scenario is the Liberals win a majority government, and we can then carry on with the job of governing Canada. The bad news is, if the Conservatives win and they have a minority government, at least they can't do the damage that they would normally do if they had a majority government. Well, it does feel a little convoluted, but you know what? Everything in politics is. There's always, side deals and handshake agreements and whatnot happening. So what I want to do is take a look and see if will the Liberals, I'll do that first. I'll do them first. Will the Liberals get a majority government with Mark Carney at the helm? So what do we have? What do we start with? We have the Four of Pentacles. That's kind of, holding on to what you have. This might indicate that, yes, they remain in power. However, they maintain the status quo, which might indicate a minority government. But let's see what that's crossed with. It is crossed with justice. That's interesting. I think that most people can see the need for balance, the need for some accountability. They do recognize the need for change, but they want it to be a tempered change, something that they feel that they have a voice in. Okay. Let me just move something so I've got a little bit more room here. All right. In the best possible outcome in this case is the Two of Swords. That's people making a decision. Do they Do they want the Liberal Party to fully lead the next government and to get things done? Or are they thinking about making a change? But this is definitely a decision, and it is sort of an emotional decision. You'll notice in this case the eyes are covered, so it's not a matter of seeing; it's more a matter of going with the emotion, and that's you see down here, kind of like the moon. So this is going to be an emotional decision for most people. And the foundation of the reading is the high priestess. Knowing what needs to be done, and trusting that the other citizens that are going to be voting are going to be voting for everyone's best interests. This is the high priestess doesn't reveal everything that she knows, but she will never lie to you. So, in order to um, talk to her, you have to ask the right questions for her to give you the answer. Otherwise, she doesn't do that. She just doesn't share that information willingly. In the past, this is the King of Cups. This is in the past we have had, Justin Trudeau could be seen very much as the King of Cups. Excuse me, in that people's feelings were really involved in terms of him being a leader. It was a case of you either love him or hate him. There wasn't a lot of room for anything in between. So that, and then being crossed, that the justice card would indicate that people are willing to they're not willing to put the Trudeau blame on Carney. They're willing to listen and kind of weigh things out. Okay, in the near future, yeah, we've got the Hierophant. Yes, the government needs to operate as a government should. It needs to be able to lead the country and lead its citizens. It doesn't need to be sort of hog-tied and held back. So current attitude is the Page of Wands. People having different ideas on how they would like things to progress and go forward. This is also messaging, making sure that the message that you are sharing is going to get to as many people as it can. This being a page is, they have the Liberals have to be very careful in terms of how they present their messaging so that it reaches the widest audience, not just the people who are prone to vote for them anyway. And the environment is the King of Pentacles. And this is interesting because Mark Carney comes from an economics background. He has a PhD degree in economics. He was the leader of the Bank of Canada. He was appointed to that position by Stephen Harper, who was a conservative prime minister. So it's a little difficult for the Conservatives to say that he's not in touch and so on, because it was one of their own leaders that made him the governor of the Bank of Canada. Further, when he was finished with his role as the governor of the Bank of Canada, he was then hired by the Bank of the United Kingdom. And he was the first sort of outsider. Up until that point, all the governors of the Bank of England were British citizens. So him being tagged and hired for that position shows that there was a lot of value put on his experience. So he certainly has the experience. In the hopes and fears is the Six of Cups. The, you know, people want to get back to the way things were, the way things sort of operated in the past. That doesn't mean you don't see the future. It just means that, enough with the rhetoric, enough with the name calling, enough with the, um, that repeating the same phrase over and over and over again. Can we just get back to governing a country? Have a platform. Tell me what your platform is so that I can understand it. Tell me what you're going to do. And more than that, show me what you're going to do. So I think that's where most people are, is they can see they can feel the shift in Canadians' emotions. And they also have something that they can base those on, because they just have to look south of the border. They just have to see that, what is happening there. That's what happens when you let your emotions run away with you. What happens when you're not considering everyone. So this kind of return to the nostalgia of the way things were is, let's work cooperatively. Let's work together. Let's govern the country instead of trying to govern little sections and so on. And the ultimate outcome is the King of Wands. Again, messaging about the leader, ideas that are coming in, presenting a case to Canadians on why the Liberal Party should form the next government, and why Mark Carney is the leader for that party, and how he's going to bring Canada forward, and so on. So the cards are good in terms of, will there be a majority government? It looks like people are done with the having to work with other parties and so on and so forth. They really just, it's kind of like, I don't want to rule my household by allowing everyone else to have an opinion, right? It's, I'm paying the bills, I'm doing this, so this is what I'd like the country to do. So that's kind of where it stands for the Liberals. Now let's take a look at the Conservatives and see what their chances are of forming a majority government. And I'm very aware of the time, and I don't want to keep you here forever. So we'll see what we can do. The Conservatives. Will the Conservatives form a majority government? All righty. Well, we start off with the King of Pentacles. This is your money. This is your values. This is it's very consistent with Pierre Poilievre as being the leader of the Conservative Party, because they are the party of they want to be the party of fiscal responsibility, right? We need to be careful. We don't want to go further in debt. We need to pay down the debt, and so on. So that is kind of their messaging is, well, enough with all the free spending. And that is crossed with the Lovers card. That kind of indicates that yes, they want to be fiscally responsible, but they also don't mind making side deals. They also don't mind working in partnership with other groups or other entities that might be of benefit to them. So think of this in terms of maybe allowing yourself to be swayed by the lobbyists and making promises to the lobbyists. If they bring their people on board, this is what you can do for them. So it's a little tricky. Now, there in the past is the Ace of Swords. Sort of a challenge with truth, a challenge with presenting things so that people can understand them. This is also being able to try to convince people that something is what you say it is, rather than what you can see that it is or isn't. So it's almost like trying to twist the truth so that it fits your narrative, almost. Okay. And then we have the foundation of the reading is the Eight of Wands. The information and messaging coming in fairly quickly. Okay. Just going to adjust this a little bit. I think that in this case, the King of Pentacles, what we started the reading off with, as I said, would be Pierre Poilievre. And his challenge is that he has made deals with people that maybe he is trying his best to keep those deals secret. So people are looking for the truth. They want the truth to come out, and it is going to come out fairly quickly. And it is going to be, it's not something that he is going to be able to hide behind. A little bit of a turn here. Okay. So what do we have in the past? In the past, again, we have the High Priestess. Knowing what questions to ask in order to get the honest answer. So I think he has done a very good job of trying to present himself as one thing when he really is another. So, he's kind of hiding behind certain things and hoping that the agreements and deals he has in place are not going to be they're not going to be brought forward before the election. That's what it feels like. Okay, we have in the near future is the Four of Wands. The getting everyone together, happy families, concentrating on bringing everyone closer. It can be a celebration. It can be kind of a party, a new start in some ways. So I think that's what he's hoping for, is that people will just, that they're so anxious for a change that they're not going to dig too deep into what it is that the conservatives are offering. Okay, so his attitude, that's Pierre Poilievre's attitude right now, is again the Four of Pentacles. I'm going to continue with the same rhetoric that I have been operating on for the last number of years. It seems to have worked for me, and I'm just going to be repeating the same message over and over and over again. The problem with that is that the message does not resonate with a lot of people, and the message isn't clear. It's I'm going to tell you what I'm against, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm for. I'm going to tell you that I need to make changes to the government, but I'm not going to tell you what those changes are. You're going to have to trust me until I get into power, and then I'll tell you what they are. And that's not normally the way that things work. We want to know what we can anticipate, right? Like we had before with the with the Six of Cups, the return to nostalgia. Show me and tell me what your platform is so that I can weigh it against what you've done, and I'll determine if that is going to be good. All right. The environment that he sits in is the King of Cups. He really is going to do his very best to try to appeal to people's emotions, and this is almost like taking a page out of a playbook that someone down south used, right? I'm just going to stay on message, and I'm just going to keep repeating the same 3 words over and over and over again until, you just, through the sheer exhaustion, you give in. In the hopes and fears, well, the Six of Wands, Pierre Poilievre is hoping, he's hoping for a victory. He's hoping that that he is going to emerge as prime minister, and it can be a two-edged sword in that, once he gets into that position, then he has to perform, and he's not one that has a very long career track behind him. He's been a politician basically all his life, and not a politician of good repute. Let me put it that way. Entertainment purposes only. Okay. And how does this work out? The Five of Pentacles, being left out in the cold. I think that as much as the Conservatives are hoping that they're going to form the next government, based on the cards that I see right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that people are going to be looking for a balance, and they see that balance as coming in through the Liberal Party as opposed to the Conservative Party. And I think a lot of the reason that they might be looking to the Liberals instead of the Conservatives is that the Liberals are a little better at messaging in terms of what they want done, whereas the Conservatives are, I have a great idea, and I'm going to do this for you, and it's going to be fabulous, fantastic, the best thing you've ever seen. No one's ever seen anything like it, right? Kind of resonates with a lot of people. So I think, based on the cards that I'm seeing right here at this moment in time, no, I think the Liberals are going to form a majority government, and they are going to lead the country as of April the 29th. All righty. I will leave that with you. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps get the message out, and it really helps with the algorithm. And subscribing doesn't cost you anything. It's just a little click. That's all it is. And you can check out some of my other videos that I have on YouTube. I do personal readings, so if any of you are interested in getting a personal reading for 2025 in terms of, what might be coming up, what kinds of things to look out for, then by all means, if you go to my YouTube page, and you'll see that on top, there's like the beginning of a one sentence description, and then it has 3 little dots, and there's a little button there that says more. If you click on that and scroll down, it will give you not only my website address, which is marinasheartcentertarot.com, but it will also give you my email address, and you can get in touch with me, and I'd be glad to set you up with a reading. Alrighty, I will let you go. I hope that you have a fabulous rest of the evening, a fabulous week ahead, and I will see you in the chats. Take care, and bye for now.